Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to really focus in on the whole Nathaniel Hackett dilemma, right? The report basically suggesting that the New York Jets could demote Hackett in some way, not fire him, but demote him on the staff. In efforts to, get a more creative play calling process next season for the Jets. Supposedly the Jets have quote unquote lost confidence in Hackett's ability to run an offense on his own, and the team is trying to explore ways to reduce his role in 2024. I mean, here we are again talking about another dysfunctional area of this Jets football team, right? Specifically here on offense. We have to ask the question, who is Nathaniel Hackett? Why do the Jets want to retain him so desperately? So desperately. I was talking to Tyson from Let's Talk Jets Radio about this, I think it was like a week or two ago. We were talking about if this was the offensive coordinator, or even, take Hackett's name out of it, just throw in whoever, Coach A, Coach X, whatever. If you give him his same exact resume on any other football team, they would have been fired. They would have been fired. Who is Nathaniel Hackett? He was brought in from the Denver Broncos after signing a multi-year deal. He was let go not even one full season into his Broncos tenure. Why? Of course, the team was dysfunctional. Of course, the team was, falling apart, but they didn't have any leadership. They didn't have any accountability. Everybody was just doing what they wanted. Again, it was just a complete and utter circus. So the Jets, and according to Saleh, he handpicks Nathaniel Hackett to go get his number one offensive coordinator. I believe he used, claimed he interviewed 10 to 11 different offensive coordinator candidates, and Hackett was the top guy. So great, the Jets land their top guy here in Hackett. He comes over to the Jets, and not only do we see the same problems that we did last season in Denver. No accountability, no leadership, no answers, no plan, no short-term, no long-term vision. Everything is just tied to Aaron Rodgers, right? When Aaron Rodgers went down, that sucks, the season's over. The entire offense was built for him. This is the NFL. That does not sound like an NFL coach. If you are a running back, if you're a wide receiver, if you're an offensive tackle, if you're Zach Wilson, do you want to hear your offensive coordinator say, oh, well, the entire offense was built for Aaron Rodgers, and because he's not here, the season's over, despite us being 1-0, beating the Buffalo Bills in week 1? Not at all. Does that give you any sort of confidence? No, it does not. That screams incompetence. What is a coach? Fundamentally speaking, what is a coach? It's somebody to take players and put them in a position to have success. Those are the best coaches in football, really in sports, right? When you can take a group of guys that have specific talents, strengths, weaknesses, pros and cons about their game, and say, hey, you know what? We're going to do this. We're not going to do that. We're going to do this. And we're going to put these guys in positions to have success. They're going to grow. They're going to get better as players. The communication is going to be great. The relationships are going to be great. And we're going to work as a unit, work as a team. That's the complete opposite of what the Jets offense is right now. It's the complete opposite, right? We have players regressing, getting worse. We don't have, again, those answers. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to tailor an offense towards our backup quarterback. Oh, well, the plan was to redshirt him. No, it wasn't. He was the backup quarterback. He was QB2. The team gave him the job. So, again, going back to Hackett, fired in Denver, gets brought onto the New York Jets. From the beginning, right? It's not like Zach Wilson was like a week 5 acquisition. We had to just throw him in there. No, he was here from the beginning. He knew the offense. He knew Hackett. He knew the offensive staff, Keith Carter, Todd Downing, and these guys. I just cannot get over the fact that the Jets offensive staff could not formulate good game plans. They could not tailor the offense towards Zach Wilson or Tim Boyle or Trevor Siemian, whoever. Just without Aaron Rodgers, without one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, a future first ballot Hall of Famer, without him, the offense is horrible. Well, if that's the case, maybe it's Rodgers just making up for all of the shortcomings within the Hackett offense. So I digress. You look at Hackett, You have team stats in the bottom of the league. You have team rankings in the bottom of the league. You have players that are so frustrated with him and the offense. Some of the young core guys that should not be getting frustrated whatsoever. I'm talking Sauce Gardner. I'm talking Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall has voiced his frustrations. It was just a complete and utter joke last season, right? All of these different negative things. Can you name a situation where you have, again, frustrated players, horrible offensive numbers, a team that doesn't really have any answers, or it just doesn't really seem like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you go through an entire season of that, and you're talking about almost joking around in press conferences. I remember towards the end of the season, right? There was a comment made about Breece Hall being like good, being effective. Like, it took us this long to get there. I mean, fans and media were told every week, all year, just wait for it to click. We're going to be scary. We just have to wait for it to click. But it turns out on the inside of the building, and again, if we can reference the Athletic report, where we had the anonymous Jets coach come out and say that he hasn't seen a team watch less practice tape than the 2023 Jets, or how Hackett would fail to meet with Keith Carter and Todd Downing, in the latter portion of the week up until, or I think it was like right before game day. Like, so all these different things, they're just stacked on top of each other. Can you think about another situation where any other NFL team out there would say, this is fine, this is acceptable, we're going to keep everything in place, we're not going to get rid of anybody here? And by the way, it's not a one-man issue, right? You fire Hackett, it's not like the Jets are, we've now turned into this well-ran machine. Not at all, right? Saleh's to blame, Joe Douglas is to blame, Woody Johnson is to blame. There's so much blame to go around, but in regards to this situation, Hackett now potentially getting a demotion, I think it's just like, why does it have to be this complicated? I think probably the first thing that comes in your mind is the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. Well, Aaron Rodgers is friends with Hackett, so he needs to be on the staff. Again, is there another situation like this unfolding in the NFL? I mean, the New England Patriots let Bill Belichick go, the greatest coach of all time, because of the 2 down seasons. And here the Jets are justifying everything. No, we don't care about Denver. No, we don't care about players getting frustrated. No, we don't care about the lack of quarterback development or players regressing or all these free agents not working out or not having any, coaching solutions on the offensive line. It just seemed like these guys were confused every single week. We don't care about the team stats or the team rankings. We're fine. Hackett's friends with Rodgers. So although there hasn't been that official report suggesting that the Jets have moved Hackett's position or title, or there hasn't been any sort of press conference or, again, a report or anything like that suggesting that Hackett will no longer be calling plays for the offense this season, it begs the question, who else is going to do it? Are they going to give play calling duties to Todd Downing, Keith Carter here? Tony Dews, who they just brought in, like what's the plan here if they're going to keep Hackett on the team but demote him unofficially? I mean, it really only seems like the qualifications or the things that the Jets are looking for in a Jets offensive coach, you either have to be one of two things. Number one, you have to be friends with Aaron Rodgers or have some sort of backstory with him, some sort of working relationship with him, or you just have to be a Titans coach. And if you check either of those boxes, the chances of you becoming a Jets coach is pretty high. And, if you go down that logic, I felt like there were two candidates that maybe could have came in and provided a different voice or maybe provided a spark. AVP, now off the board, right? Former Browns OC, has worked with Rodgers before in the past. Now he is the New England Patriots offensive coordinator. And then you have Luke Getsy, former Bears offensive coordinator. He was hired last night by the Las Vegas Raiders to become their next OC. So again, in this situation here, if Hackett does in fact get demoted, what does the demotion mean? Is he no longer going to be calling plays? Is he no longer going to be OC? What's going to happen? But then more importantly, who's going to take over? Who's going to fill in the gap? Again, is it one of these new Titans coaches coming in? I don't know. It just doesn't really seem like the Jets have really thought things through. And this is kind of the same exact point that I made in the Robert Saleh video a couple days ago where I talked about his future, right, for 2024, because there's so, after this article and all these different things, there's so much pressure on Saleh, there's so much heat on him, and he's really on such a hot seat going into the season. And a lot of people are suggesting just get rid of Saleh now. Pete Carroll's still out there, Mike Vrabel's still out there, right? There's some solid coaches still out in the open market. Go out and make the switch. But my issue with that is that if the Jets wanted to fire Saleh, they should have done it after the season. Because who's going to want to step, yes, you can go out and fire Saleh and staff, but who's going to want to come in now, a month before free agency? The Senior Bowl's passed. So you have to do accelerated free agent prep, accelerated draft prep. You have to put together a staff. You have to analyze the roster, figure out strengths and weaknesses. I mean, that's a big job. Do you really want to tie yourself to that, along with the fact that Joe Douglas would be the team's general manager? So that is somebody who I do not want making a head coaching decision. I don't want his input in that regard at all. So if you're a Mike Vrabel, and also too, another thing that we have to throw on top of it, the theoretical next coach that would come in would have to be okay with Aaron Rodgers for a year or two. If that's something that they're not really feeling, then chances are they're like, all right, I'll just wait until next offseason and see what the cycle's like then, right? There's some coaches with a lot of pressure on them. Dennis Allen with the Saints, Daboll with the Giants, Sirianni with the Eagles, McCarthy with the Cowboys, Saleh with the Jets. Like, I just don't know who would be chomping at the bit like, oh, I got to sign up now. There's a lot of pressure. Everything would be accelerated. So again, the Jets they did this to themselves, right? So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Nathaniel Hackett, a possible demotion here. Crazy, crazy stuff. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, go Jets.